To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. I think we got a little snow. It's pretty deep. One of the problems I'm having here is this collects snow. This is temporary from our back porch. So this spring I'm going to put a roof on our back porch. But in the meantime, I got to keep knocking the snow off of this. I've misplaced the thing I was using, so I'll have to get something else. I'll grab the rake here and I just knock it off. But I got to do this every now and then. This morning I woke up at 4:30 and it was pretty deep. Now the problem is all the snow falls in front of the door. Carolyn likes doing it. She thinks it's fun. But, I mean, it has just snowed for 2 days straight. I was going to shovel my snow off the porch, but this shovel is underneath the porch somewhere, but it drifted up underneath the porch, so I can't get to the shovel. So I guess we'll just deal with it. The bridge stayed pretty clear. Here's a good representation of how much snow we got. I think you can see the bucket here. I think that's probably at least 6 inches, 6-7 inches. And there's no drifting there because it's tucked in behind the house. So I think it's a good representation. There's a lot of snow. Well, you know, we're doing pretty good. I'm really surprised how well we are doing. I recognize that in yesterday's video I told you that I think it was yesterday, that our water finally froze up in the water tank, but we're not out of water. We still use the well. Of course, we just had to put it in buckets, and we adapted just fine. Of course, we've lived out of buckets for, what, 4 years now? As a nomad, that's what you do, is you go and, well, in our little truck camper, it didn't have a water tank. I think we had 8 buckets, and you go find water wherever you can get water at, and then you would get the water, fill up the buckets, and then you would live out of buckets for 2 weeks. Although not convenient, definitely doable. It's not a stress on us at all. I just was hoping we could get through the toughest part of this, but this is pretty extreme. This is really cold too. We're down into the negative temperatures now. I think we got down to -4 this morning. Now tomorrow, I think we're having a heat wave. I think it's getting back up to 18 degrees. Been working on my chicken run. I don't know if you can see it in the snow, but it's pretty much buried. I stopped working on it as soon as it got cold. I'll get back to it as soon as it warms up a little bit here, probably this weekend. I've been running the generator a lot through this. The solar panels, not to mention, are getting covered up with snow all the time, but it's so cloudy that we're not getting any sun on them. So I swept them off this morning and it didn't make any difference. They still weren't making enough volts to actually do anything. The charge controller and the batteries are inside the camper. You got to have, I think, what, 16 or 17 volts before the charge controller will actually kick on. So I'm coming in here now, and yeah, there we go. We'll adjust the lighting. And I got the battery charger hooked up. It's a mess in here because we're cleaning it up and we're going to convert this into a shed. So please ignore the mess. This is where we stayed for 4 years. And we got an air conditioner. Again, everything's tore up, so don't think this is how we lived. But there's the air conditioner, and then we got our battery charger, and see all the wires are exposed right now. And our inverter set up on the wall, and then we got our charge controller here. We got the batteries up underneath the bed. The biggest problem I'm having is, with it being so cold, the batteries are dying very quickly. I'm not getting through the night with them. So I have to charge batteries with the generator twice a day now. This just isn't going to work with solar panels, but that's what we got the generator for emergencies like this. Heck, I've tried to make this video like 3 times and the battery just keeps dying. It's so cold. But that's with any battery. If you try to start your car in the winter, it doesn't want to turn over. A lot of people think that's because the engine is pulling more amps, which is true, it is. But it's just so cold that it's drawing the energy out of it. You Google that, you can learn a lot about batteries. And this is the other reason I don't use lithium-ion batteries. Lithium-ion batteries you can't even charge when it's cold. Below freezing, they'll catch on fire. You're not even supposed to use them. But I have a battery-operated drill This is where I learned a lot about the discharge of batteries. You lose a lot of power out of all kinds of batteries when it's cold. I've been running the generator and charging the batteries for 4 hours now, and I thought I'd just go ahead and get these things topped off because I really drained them last night. I got down to 12.1, which is not good. You're not supposed to get below 12.3. You can damage your batteries. You can half the life of your batteries. So, of course, I'll rejuvenate my batteries. I got this rejuvenating cycle on my battery charger. I'll do that once I get them charged up. I'll do that probably tomorrow or this weekend or whatever. But while it's cloudy and I got to run the generator, I can repair the damage I've made to the batteries. So there is a disadvantage to having lead acid. You got to make sure that you keep them above 12.3 volts. But there's advantages over them too. My camper isn't catching on fire and I can have them outside. A lot of people think I should take them up to the tiny house. This is where the solar panels can get the most sun. And the solar panels have to be close to the batteries or the charge controller. Otherwise, you're trying to drive amps long distances and you need a lot of wire to do that. So, but the battery isn't charged. I still got 2.1 amps to go before they're charged, and I got it's at 80% right now. So I'll just let it run because the solar panels aren't doing anything. I'll come over here to charge controller and I'll show you. Okay, so I got the charge controller on here. Okay, so I got the charge controller and it's saying it's making enough volts that I could actually start charging my batteries with the solar panels, which is great, which is kind of a common thing when it snows. The snow actually reflects the sunlight and you can actually get a better charge. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it on the charger so I can get these things topped off. I'll get a better charge if I do this instead of just switching it back and forth. It's just so cold. I'm not really sure what my options are, so I think I'm safer if I just go ahead and spend the gas money on the generator, let the battery charger charge them up instead of having to come out here and sweep the snow off the solar panels. One of the things a lot of people have been asking about is our composting process. And we just now got our composting barrels. We got plastic barrels. That way there's no rusting, there's no chance of seepage into the groundwater or anything. So there's our composting barrels. We kind of got them tucked back here so that they're not that obvious. And that way, you know, we still have the scenery of the woods. It sure is pretty. It's cold. There's a lot of snow, but man, it is beautiful. But I'm really happy with the success that we've had. I'm glad that I got the house done sooner than I expected. I didn't expect to move into the house until this spring. And everything I said, which is we don't have enough dry wood for firewood, all that was true. But we would not have survived this in the camper. We probably would have had to gotten propane to heat. We would not have had water. You know, I'm telling you now that our water has frozen in the tank. But we got bucketfuls of water that we got out of the well yesterday. And we can continue to get water out of the well. The problem with being in camper, there's no place to put the buckets. So they would have froze. The only place we put the buckets was underneath the bed. But in the camper, underneath the bed would get so cold that there was just no heat getting down to it. So they would all freeze. Just never have water in the winter. It was terrible. We stayed in the camper 3 winters in a row in the state of Missouri. I've been asked, will I ever do the nomadic lifestyle again? Will I ever travel? And the answer is no. I will not go camping anymore. I'm done with it. I like this. This is awesome. And the thing is any problems that we come up against, we can come up with long-term solutions. We'll work on the tank this summer, the water tank. That way, if we get this cold again, maybe we can avoid having a frozen water tank at all. But in the camper, it just wasn't an option. You never knew where you were going to be. Things changed all the time. Heck, getting water was a challenge as a nomad. They would start shutting off water spigots, sometimes around late November, right after Thanksgiving. So I love this. It sure is cold out here, but I thought I'd take you guys outside today just to see how pretty it is against the backdrop of the woods. It sure is pretty. I sure am enjoying my life more than I ever have. It's not easy, I guess. It gets easier every day. We learn more and we're able to overcome obstacles. It sure is a lot easier than having to go to work every day, listen to a boss that hates you, scream and yell at you, telling you how big of a loser you are. I'm not sure, I guess if you weren't a manager and you just had a 9-to-5 job, maybe that's okay, but I never had 9-to-5 jobs. I always had a job where I had a vested interest in the organization. You know, you get paid a salary, it's a fixed rate, and they don't care how many hours you work. Work 24 hours. I remember Department of Labor came in one time, and they looked at my hours, and they said if he was hourly, he'd be rich. And the Department of Labor actually looked in to see if I could get paid overtime. Here, everything I do, it's for me. It's 100% profit for me. I recognize I'm not talking about money profit. I'm talking about happiness profit. And it's all happiness. It's all profit. I hope I'm getting the message across that it doesn't have to be impossible. We did it. I hope I can inspire you to find your paradise. Thanks for watching.